Fasten your seatbelts, history buffs. We're time-traveling to 14th century England, but ditch your romanticized notions of knights and castles. Life back then was brutal. Expect crowded cities, rampant disease, and questionable hygiene. Curious to see if you'd survive? Let's go. Leave your skinny jeans at home. In the 14th century, clothing was law. Sumptuary laws dictated what you could wear based on your social standing. Flaunt it and face fines, or even jail time. Your best bet: stick to simple tunics and woolen garments. Say goodbye to refrigeration and hello to whatever's fresh. Meat was a luxury, spices were exotic, and ale was the drink of choice. Even if you could stomach the food, table manners were another hurdle. Get ready to slurp your soup, everyone did. The bubonic plague or the Black Death cast a long shadow over this era. Imagine entire villages wiped out, cities reeking of death, and life expectancy plummeting. Fun times, right? Carry a pomander. You might want to mask the stench. Cities offered a chance at upward mobility, albeit with cramped quarters, open sewers, and the constant threat of fire. Meanwhile, rural life revolved around agriculture, with peasants tied to the land they tilled. Choose your struggle. The church dominated medieval life, from birth rituals to death rites. Attending Mass was non-negotiable. Expect breathtaking cathedrals, sermons in Latin, and if you understand that, you might be the only one. Pre-Netflix entertainment in medieval England meant feasts, festivals, and public executions. Jousting tournaments and mystery plays were crowd pleasers. Fancy a good laugh? Try bear baiting, a gruesome spectacle that passed for fun. Forget romantic love. Marriages were usually economic contracts and women were pretty much considered property. But hey, at least they could enjoy elaborate wedding feasts. Love wasn't dead, just arranged and celebrated with lots of mutton. Crimes were punished harshly in the 14th century. Think public floggings, hangings, even burning at the stake for crimes like heresy. Law enforcement was in the hands of local lords and their men, so justice was often swift and brutal. Yes, the infamous Hundred Years' War was in full swing. The conflict with France wasn't a series of continuous battles, but intermittent periods of fighting spanning over a century. This wasn't just kings playing war games, but rather people fighting for their lives in terrible conditions with little thought given to those considered collateral damage. The Black Death altered the social landscape, leading to labor shortages. Those who worked the land gained newfound bargaining power, eventually contributing to the decline of feudalism. Sadly, this led to brutal suppression and uprisings we only know from second-hand accounts. Remember Robin Hood, the outlaw who robbed the rich to feed the poor? We'll dive headfirst into whether he actually existed. Prepare yourselves. Mortimer dives globico into existing records of bandits and uprisings, attempting to separate the man from the myth. Ever wonder what it was like to live as a peasant, a merchant, or even a king back then? We'll tag along and experience the reality, chores, challenges, joys of everyday life in medieval England, through every layer of society. From cramped wattle and daub peasant huts to drafty castles, we are served a jarring dose of architectural reality. Forget central heating. Imagine freezing winters, rudimentary fireplaces, and using chamber pots. Would you survive? Forget antibiotics. Cures ranged from bloodletting and leeches to herbal remedies and prayers. If you got sick, your chances weren't great. And childbirth? Well, let's hope you live past 40. This chapter's a real reality check, or should we say, gut check. We've come to books, treasure troves of knowledge often chained. The printing press changed everything. Books transitioned from expensive, handcrafted works to more affordable items, leading to wider literacy, albeit still lower than today. Mortimer weaves captivating narrative, filled with fascinating detail, debunking popular myths by painting a more realistic portrait of day-to-day life for everyday people during the 14th century, covering its food, homes, ailments, and more. Now onto your travel essentials. Leave behind those iPhones, laptops, and fancy gadgets. They simply won't cut it in medieval England. Prioritize durability and practicality. What is essential? strong boots, a sturdy belt, and maybe even a chamber pot for those inconvenient moments. As our journey through the 14th century ends, have you enjoyed this historical deep dive? Let us know in the comments which fact, from culinary habits to punishments, astounded you the most. Subscribe and stay tuned. More time-traveling adventures ahead.